www.wcpt.org.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez.
From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing ass says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
All right. Good evening. Happy Friday, or whatever day it is that you happen to be listening to our show, because we also share this as a podcast where you can listen to it anywhere you listen to your podcasts. I want to thank our sponsors. Before we get going here, thank you to our Pride Coffee Roasters, who make the best single origin roasted to order coffee beans you'll ever have. You can go to pridecoffeeroasters.com, put your order in. You can even get a bean subscription and have those coffee beans delivered to your house. And they will be at the Jefferson Park Sunday Market coming up in June. I believe it's June 14th. We are at the market. I am a sponsor and volunteer there every second and fourth Sunday of the month, starting in June all the way through October. And you can pick up your freshly roasted coffee beans right there at the market and meet Patty and Jackie, who have created this wonderful small batch roastery. And every single cup of coffee tastes like a love letter in a mug. So every bag of coffee you buy writes the next chapter in their wonderful story. Again, pridecoffeeroasters.com. And thank you to our friends at areyoureallywinning.com. It's a strange moment in my life because I never really thought about, I knew that I was the daughter of an addict. My father was a smoker. He was a drinker. And it turns out I didn't even really think much about the gambling addiction because it feels different, right? It affects your family financially. The lie, I mean, but in some ways, in many ways, it's pretty much the same thing. And my father really could not stop gambling. And I'm proud to work with Are You Really Winning to shine a light on addiction that isn't treated quite the same as others. So go to areyoureallywinning.com if you want to learn more information, or if someone in your life or you are struggling with a gambling addiction. Please visit areyoureallywinning.com, and you can call 1-800-GAMBLER as well. You can call and text either way. We also want to thank our friends at Source Solar. Go to source.solar, make an appointment with Peter Sorellis. Maybe it's time to get solar panels on your house or business. And if you go green, you save the green. And I think that's what he said. Go green to save green. And also save the environment. It's all good stuff. Go to source.solar, make an appointment with Peter Sorellis, and he will walk you through the entire process of getting solar panels on your house or business. There's a lot going on. By the way, there is breaking news. And I don't like to even call this breaking news. But for those of you who remember the name Tina Peters, because there's so many things that have happened since she was convicted in Colorado, her 9-year prison sentence was cut in half today as the governor of Colorado, Jared Polis, a Democrat, by the way, is basically making her eligible for parole on June 1st. If you don't remember her, she's a former county clerk who used someone else's security badge to allow Mike Lindell associates to access county election equipment, trying to leak election machinery data in pursuit of their little conspiracy theories. A Colorado jury convicted her on multiple felony accounts. She's never shown any remorse. And a judge gave her 9 years. And Trump has been calling her a martyr. You know, he loves his special friends, calling the governor a scumbag governor. And they've been choking off funding to Colorado. And this is how it gets done, right? Is you have to bend the knee in order to make sure you take care of the residents of your community. Right now, Governor Newsom is being choked off from funding because J.D. Vance is saying that California has a huge amount of Medicaid fraud. I'm guessing we are next here in Illinois. He threw out New York and other parts of the country. At any rate, that's one thing. And then, of course, we've got Trump off in China, bringing billionaires with him. Because I'm sure he's going there to negotiate foreign relations with goofy Elon Musk in tow, making faces, taking selfies. The phone lines are open. We do have kind of a full show coming up in just a little bit. We are going to have actually some really important segments coming up. We are going to talk to Mika Stambaugh, who is a melanoma survivor. And we will tell you about a very important message she has for you based on her personal experience. And that's I love that she's sharing this message that she wants to help others. We also have our friends coming up in just a little bit. We're going to talk to our friends from the March of Dimes as well. Tangela Enyia and Michelle Alero Adeni, and we're going to talk to them about an event coming up for the March of Dimes. And then we're going to talk to our friends, by the way, from the Cook County Forest Preserves. Tomorrow there is an event at LaBaugh Woods, and I'm sure there's events going on all over your neck of the woods, literally. Recycling events, they're doing shredding, they're taking electronic devices, I believe they're doing like chemicals, all kinds of stuff. So find out what's going on in your neck of the woods to make sure you're clearing the house and being safe and better for the environment. Let's get to the phone calls. Jim is on the line. Hey, Jim, what's on your mind, my friend?
Hi, Patty. Clarence Thomas is on my line today. 2 weeks ago, he made a speech in Texas saying decrying liberals as being, antithetical to the United States, meaning Democrats, which is insane because I know he went to school. He must have realized some Democrats had taken the helm at certain points in American history. But I remember the Anita Hill thing where he sexually extorted Anita Hill, and it was so repulsive. I was watching it at my mother's house, and my mother had caught a little bit of it. She says, geez, how can you watch it? How sickening is that? Right. Now, that was Clarence Thomas. And she stands by that story as we speak on this phone today, Patty.
I know.
And he's involved in women's affairs. Mm-hmm. He's talking about the Comstock Act with metapristone. Like what in God's name is this man talking about? This is a drug created in France in 1980, finally admitted in the United States in 2000. You've got a better chance of taking a Tylenol and dying of
a reaction.
A reaction from a Tylenol.
Yep. Well, here's the thing. What business is it of Clarence Thomas or any Supreme Court justice to dictate what laws need to be looked at? You're there to judge a case, a specific case. He's basically asking them to bring him Comstock law cases, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they're doing. You know, we know the history behind this court.
Oh, sure.
And the price they paid for these people.
Yep.
But the point is, Betty, when he says that it won't be, let's say they outlawed it. Now, we know that women of means will be able to get it any time, any place. If they have to fly to Europe to get it, they'll get it. But this is for people in difficult circumstances and won't be able to get it.
Yeah.
And won't be able to keep it private, and they'll have to freak out and tell their neighbor, or their parent, whatever. And you go through all kinds of extraordinary processes. You know what I mean, Patty?
Yep,
That's my sympathy is with those people that are trapped.
Yep. And they're trapping them on purpose. Yep. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate you. I don't know why. They're just because.
But it must be religious. It must be. It's got to be religious, some kind of religious insanity that they've got in their mind. Anyway, Patty, have a great weekend. Thanks, Patty.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. And I do want to remind folks, by the way, coming up on the shows this weekend, because the second hour of this show is taped. I'll be honest with you. We had some great interviews with folks that we could only schedule during the day. So I want to make sure I tell you about what's coming up this weekend. Tomorrow on It's the Democracy Stupid, Edwin Eisendrath. We'll talk to G. Elliott Morris, Anderson Clayton, who's the chair of the North Carolina Democratic Party, Jonathan Larson, a veteran journalist and Substack content creator, and Yusuf Jackson, newly appointed president and CEO of Rainbow Push Coalition. That's tomorrow with It's the Democracy Stupid, Saturdays, 1 to 4 p.m. Central, right here on WCPT. And don't forget to tune in to Scott Duff and Ellen Miller as they invite you to spend Sunday brunch with your gay best friends each week on Out Chicago. They tackle today's headlines from a queer perspective and focus on the accomplishments of the vibrant LGBTQ community in Chicago and across the globe. Out Chicago is Chicago's only live broadcast for and from the LGBTQ plus community. Again, that's on Sundays. I said brunch from 11 to 1. Yeah, tune in. Let's take a break here. We're taking a little bit of early break because I want to make sure we get in with our guest coming up. Mika Stambaugh is going to join us. She is a melanoma survivor and an advocate who has launched a reminder for everyone, a statewide initiative launched this month. Mika Stambaugh will join us to talk about Mika's Melanoma Monday. After this on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. And hello to our friends listening on KKNW 1150 in Seattle. We're glad you're all here today.
Tonight on Democracy Now!
Today marks the 78th anniversary of what Palestinians call Nakba Day, the commemoration of the mass expulsion of Palestinians from their homes during Israel's founding in 1948. We'll speak with Palestinian writer and analyst Mohammed Jihada about Gaza today, where Israel now occupies 60% of the territory. Most of the population has been displaced.
All those stories and more tonight at 11 on WCPT 820.
WCPT replay.
Joining us now on the phone is gay icon's living legend, John Waters. Your body of work has shaped the lives of so many people. Like, even this morning, my neighbor was texting me. She's like, please tell him that Crybaby was my gay awakening.
Funny, because there's no gay characters in Crybaby.
I know. But there's something about, like, your movies, the embracing of camp, the embracing of tacky, the just all-out, just queer counterculture nature. Do you ever feel a responsibility for lifting the voice of the counterculture?
Well, I'm proud of it when people say that, I made them feel okay about themselves. And I wrote a whole book called Role Models about the people that did that for me. Yeah. Everybody needs a bad influence they can look up to.
Keep listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
As farmers and ranchers, stewardship of the land comes naturally. Your work keeps our water clean, improves the soil, and enhances wildlife habitat. It also provides countless benefits, not just for you and your family, but for millions of Americans who depend on this region every day without even realizing it. Thank you for being stewards of America's prairie for all of us. Take a moment to find out how conservation pays. Visit conservationpays.org.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue our conversation. I'm so thrilled to welcome our next guest. Look, we're heading into the summer. We also, we've got Memorial Day right around the corner, which means sunscreen, outdoor festivals. And for most of us, we don't really think, I can't, like, even as a kid, I know, I look back and think, I don't remember using any sunscreen. And then when we did, we slathered on zinc. And it's been a part of our lives and we're more aware of it. And yet I think we still kind of put it on the back burner of, I know, I should probably wear protection. I should wear some sunscreen. Joining us right now is Mika Stambaugh. She went to have a freckle checked, and 7 days later, she had a diagnosis of melanoma. And she is such a fierce advocate for sharing her story, for telling other people about how they can take care of themselves. Mika Stambaugh, thank you so much for joining us, my friend. How are you doing today?
Hi, happy Friday. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. This story is so wild. I'm giving it just the kind of gloss over, but tell folks a little bit about, we all have freckles, right? So we don't even, was it a new freckle? Did it have a different shape or sort of texture to it? Was that why you went in to get it checked out?
No, I knew about it. It was a sunspot that I would laser every winter to make it go away. But when you go back in the sunspots come back.
Okay.
And I was an avid tanner. I was, indoor, outdoor tanning I didn't discriminate. I loved all of it. And so I would go twice a year to get my skin checked. And something had just changed in like my feeling of what this spot was on my face. There was a new spot that was growing inside the original sunspot. And that's when I said, all right, I need to go. I'm not going to wait till my next 6 months. I'm going to make an appointment. And
yeah.
So.
And I think a lot of people, you know, I love the sun. Micah, I mean, I'm older than you, not for nothing, by about 10 years. And I mean, we used like baby oil, we used Crisco. Yeah. So, I mean, you know, I think people hear you talking about loving the sun and it sounds like, but we have loved the sun. And so I think there are people listening like now they're like, oh, like worried. Take that worry and do something with that energy, right? If you think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, like there's a lot of people that have reached out to me that have said, oh my God, you are so brave. I could never do what you're doing because people are going to say, I told you so, but I have melanoma too. And you and I have these mutual friends. And it's really sad to me that the shame game is so loud.
Yes.
Cancer. It's like, no, we're not cancer shaming. We're not doing that. And you know, I am definitely becoming a very loud voice for the community because it can happen. I mean, it happens to everybody. It happens to babies that haven't even seen the sun.
Yeah.
There's actually ocular melanoma. People get it in their eye. There's, you know, a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, her brother lost his life to melanoma. He was diagnosed at stage 4 and it was inside him. Like, that's not his fault.
Right.
So, you know, I think we need to just drop the stereotype and just really advocate for people to go get their skin checked.
I mentioned that I was in the sun a lot. Like I've been thinking about it. There are certain, like sometimes I'll see like I have a scar from an appendectomy and there's like a new image that's growing. And I'm like, I need to get that checked out. And we kind of put it off and just figure, well, if there was something wrong, it would bother me, right? It would hurt. But like there isn't anything sometimes except for the physical manifestation that you can see. Right? Of melanoma.
100%. And honestly, like some of my friends that have since gotten their skin checked since I was diagnosed, the least suspect freckle is the one that ended up being melanoma.
Wow.
So,
yeah. And you come out of this on the other side of it and immediately you go into action to help other people. I mean, not everybody does that. I mean, you turned this around quickly. I mean, that's part of your energy, isn't it? Like, what do I do with this? Let's make this something that can help other people, right?
I don't know any other way to be. So I had 4 facial surgeries in 3 weeks. And about a month later, thanks to Representative LaShawn Ford, we now have the Melanoma Monday. So the first Monday in May is just a reminder here in Illinois to go get your skin checked. And when he brought this to me, he's like, let's do this. Let's make this day. Like, let's make it Micah's Melanoma Monday. And I'm like, yes. And literally, I was doing Zooms because I was all stitched up, to push this bill through in Springfield. And, of course it's a no brainer, but it's something as simple as that to just say, hey, this is your reminder to pick up the phone and make the doctor's appointment. And hopefully you'll make a couple other doctor's appointments for, annual checkups. But the skin is our largest organ.
Yeah.
We have to have the whole thing looked at. I mean, your head, your feet, your hands, your private parts, like it grows everywhere. So I'm here to advocate. So
do you suggest, I mean, because I don't even think people even think about it. Like I go to my GP, you sort of go through the routine of, how are you feeling, taking the blood pressure, taking the weight, check your cholesterol, things like that. I honestly, and I love my GP, but he's never mentioned, he's never even like, because I was a lifeguard for 6 summers when I was a kid.
Me too.
Where'd you guard? Did you guard in Chicago?
Highland Park.
Ah!
Boy, so I was a lifeguard at the water park in Highland Park.
Oh, me! How many summers did you do that?
2.
Now this is what because I didn't want to have raccoon eyes. I also did not wear eye protection, so I am very sensitive to sunlight. I don't know if it's because of that, but there are things that we do in our youth, and like you said, there's not a shame in it. It's addressing it so that you can go from here. Isn't that? It's really meet yourself where you are now. Don't you think?
100%. Like it's not too late.
Yeah.
Just go get it checked. Actually, I grew up in Crystal Lake, so I grew up in a lake town, And one of my girlfriends that I've been best friends with since, we were 10, she said to me after I was diagnosed, she's like, so what type of doctor do I call to get my skin checked?
Yeah.
And I was like, dermatologist. Yeah. And I'm like, what?
Yeah. People don't know.
She's like, okay. Yeah. They don't know. And
yeah.
I don't know how, I don't know why. I don't know. It's our largest organ.
Right. Because when they're checking our blood, by the time it's cancer has spread more, that when the white blood cells and looking for the white cell blood count, the red blood cell count, when you could have a dermatologist, I do think that we need more communication. So it's got to come from us, because like I said, I've been going to the same GP for years, and I just talking to you, I realized we've never had a conversation about anything on my skin. Sometimes we just go through the motions. I seem healthy. My heart rate's fine. My blood pressure's good. See you next time. Maybe less sugar. Your BMI is a little high. Maybe fix that. That's all.
Yeah. The important thing to remember with skin cancer is that you don't have a lot of time. So if you catch it early, you're going to be fine. But you only have 0.08 millimeters before it gets into your lymph nodes, and you have to have full chemo throughout your body. I only had to do a topical chemo for 2 months, 3 times a week. So I did 24 treatments. And that was because it was the type of mine grew the long way. It didn't grow in. So I was lucky in that sense. So they took a massive chunk of my cheek out, but it didn't get into my lymph nodes. And that's the only time that a blood test would tell that you had cancer, if it actually was too far.
Right.
That's why I feel like I'm screaming from, a billboard on 90 for everybody just to pay attention and just make a skin check, because if you catch it early, you are going to be fine. So if you don't catch it early, it's really hard.
So let's talk about a skin check, because again, I'm trying to think of places I kind of know, but we don't look at our backs, right? And that's where a lot of people get them.
No, that's huge. Backs of your legs. Yes.
Yeah.
In your scalp. So, I just changed hair colorists, and I went 2 weeks ago, and she said that she goes, I'm going to take a picture of this. You should show your doctor. And I said, I will, but girl, he's checking me every 3 months. But she said she has found 6 spots on people's head in the past year that have been something.
Oh my God.
So there's levels. There's a squamous cell, there's the basal cell, and then there's the melanoma. And melanoma is, the worst of all 3 of the cancers. But, so yeah, it's just I know it's daunting. I know it's annoying, but just really go do it for the peace of mind, and you'll be okay.
Yeah, folks. And I think, and obviously it depends on what kind of insurance you have, call your provider, tell them that you have something that needs to get checked out, ask them because everyone's different from an HMO to a PPO, make sure because then dermatologists, that's the thing in this country is they make it so hard just to even make that phone call, right?
Well, and honestly, a dermatologist's office is one of the hardest doctors to get into. It will take you months. So start now.
All right, everybody.
And what I've learned, honestly, the one thing I would say that I learned is the preventative care is just going to the doctor. Sunscreen, I wear sunscreen on my hands, places I'm constantly putting it on because you're driving, you're walking. Your ears, men get it a lot in their ear because they're golfing all the time. Just keep covering up and wearing hats. And there's, UPF clothing lines. And, if I could do a little plug, I'm working on stay tuned, summer 2026, I'm working on a plant-based sunscreen. So, because that's a whole nother thing. There's tons of chemicals everywhere, and you have to be careful what you're putting on your skin because it's going to get baked into your skin in the sun. And so, there's a lot of choices out there, but there aren't a lot of safe ones. And so I've definitely wrapped my arms around finding that too. So stay tuned.
Do you have any suggestions? And I know we haven't, I don't know if it's something you've looked at, as far as when we say, look for a dermatologist. Like I just Googled, and obviously doing your research is part of it. But what are there any, there's reviews and all those things. That's the part that's daunting too. Is like, how do I find the right dermatologist? Like right now, I'm just Googling. I found the Chicago Skin Clinic. I found Kaminska Dermatology, and I think people, the reason they don't even think about dermatologists for their skin cancer is they think about that for like acne or for other things, not this incredibly important exam, right?
Yeah. So I went to one of the best dermatologists, in the city, and then my insurance changed, and then I found this new person, and I never really loved them. And I went, it was during COVID, and then when I went to get the spot on my face checked, I was like, you know what, I now have a different insurance. I'm going to see what's there and what's changed. And that's when I found Dr. Allen at Northwestern, and he truly saved my life. He walked in the room, he looked at me, and within 13 seconds said, "What's that on your face?" And I said, "Well, that's why I'm here. I need you to get it out." And he goes, "Oh, I'm going to cut it out and biopsy it because I'm pretty sure that's a melanoma."
Wow.
Wow.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's so amazing. I mean, that makes all the difference, folks. As Mika was saying, when caught early, this is treatable. So catch it early and I hate saying do the research, but there are ways to track down. And if you're not comfortable with somebody, just get another opinion too. Do what's best for you. And women are the worst, aren't we? At taking care of ourselves. We're like, oh, I don't have time to get sick, right?
No. And honestly, it's been a really brutal 15 months. I've had 5 face surgeries and 2 months of topical chemo, and just every 3 months, the scares and the anxiety of, I hope they don't find anything. I've had 10 biopsies cut off all over my body since then. You kind of feel like a pincushion at some point, but I'm going to continue to go, and I'm going to continue to advocate for people and myself. And just, if you're a tanner, that's fine. Just make sure you get yourself checked out and wear sunscreen.
Well, I want to congratulate you, thank you, and encourage folks to take Mika's word. Mika's Melanoma Monday launched this month candidate for Congress, Democratic nominee for Congress. I'm just saying, LaShawn Ford, State Representative LaShawn Ford, who with Mika have brought forward Mika's Melanoma Monday, officially recognized on the first Monday in May each year. So that was May 4th this year, and these are public education campaigns during National Skin Cancer Awareness Month. Oh my God, it's hard to say that word, Mika. Cancer.
Can't be so. Believe me, I've said cancer a few times too.
Really got stuck in my throat. So, folks, please, we're here to remind you to do your skin checks. If you find something, go ask whoever's in your life, hey, can you check out my back? See anything back there? I should have them hold up a mirror, something. Take care of yourself, because this can be treated and caught early. Mika, you have a wonderful weekend. I can't wait to see you. And thank you for being a sponsor of the Kids Above All event coming up on June 11th at the Den Theater, featuring Annabelle Laval, Kevin Bozeman, Joe Kilgallen. I've got Katie Miners, and I'll be on the show as well. So thank you for joining us for that too.
No, happy to do that. Happy to support. Thank you.
We'll talk to you again soon, my friend. Take care. And by the way, we should say from TMI PR, right? Oh, did she hang up? Oh shit. I think she hung up. All right, then. All right, let's take a break here and continue our conversation. We've got some friends coming up from the March of Dimes to tell us about an event that you should know about. The March of Dimes is very near and dear to my heart. So look forward to this conversation on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KKNW 1150.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Mainly cloudy tonight with a chance of thunderstorms developing after midnight. Temperature around 62 degrees with winds out of the southwest at 10 to 20. On Saturday, we'll see a chance of thunderstorms with a high temperature of 83 and southwest winds at 10 to 20. Sunday, chance of thunderstorms with a high temperature of 84. Monday, chance of showers and storms again with a high temperature around 85 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather forecast. Right now, it's 75.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter. Tonight on Democracy Now!
Today marks the 78th anniversary of what Palestinians call Nakba Day, the commemoration of the mass expulsion of Palestinians from their homes during Israel's founding in 1948. We'll speak with Palestinian writer and analyst Mohammed Jihada about Gaza today, where Israel now occupies 60% of the territory. Most of the population has been displaced.
All those stories and more tonight at 11 on WCPT 820.
Is credit card or other debt making it difficult to pay your rent or mortgage? Home insecurity is often the unintended consequence of an inability to pay mounting credit card debt, student loans, or medical debt. But by working with a nonprofit credit counselor, you can avoid or reduce the risk of eviction or foreclosure while tackling debt for good. For more information about how nonprofit credit counseling can help, visit nfcc.org. Made possible in part by the nonprofit Wells Fargo Foundation.
There are 1,000 ways to say it.
Nope. Knock it off. Shut it down. Dream on. No dice. Give it a rest. Not a chance.
Or just.
I'll text. You focus on the road.
As a passenger, you have the power to prevent an accident. There are 1,000 ways to stop a distracted driver. Choose one.
A message from CTIA.
WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk, where facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us. We continue our drive home, and I am really so honored to be able to have our next guests on the air, because tomorrow morning in Chicago Heights, March of Dimes and Meridian Health Plan are throwing open the doors at the Chicago Heights Park District Recreation Center. Free health screenings, fresh produce, diapers, prenatal resources, doula support, and so much more from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. No cost, open to families across South suburban Cook County. And here's why it matters. This is what's happening in our communities. Black women in this country die in childbirth at more than twice the rate of white women. More than 85% of those deaths are preventable in communities like Chicago Heights, Ford Heights, Madison, and Park Forest have been fighting barriers to basic health care for a long time. And I have two women on the phone who are doing something about it. Tangela Enyia is the Vice President of Government and Community Relations at Meridian Health Plan of Illinois. And Mika Stambaugh is a nurse, a doula, and the Director of MCH Collective Impact at March of Dimes. I want to welcome you. Wait, I think I just have Tangela on the line. Tangela, one second. Let me get this. There we go. Hi, Tangela. How are you doing this evening?
I'm well. How about you?
I'm staying hydrated, everything considering. It's exhausting times. I don't have to tell you about that, but I know as a nonprofit, we want to make sure we get information to folks. So I know that Meridian is a Medicaid managed care plan. What does that mean for the families you serve, and why does South Suburban Cook County need this kind of attention right now? Tell folks about that.
Yeah. So, Patti, what we're focused on are places where there are limited or low access to maternity care. And the reason why maternity care matters is because we want to address maternal and infant health disparities in the state. So through our partnership with March of Dimes, we're funding a mobile unit that helps bridge the gaps across Chicago and the Southland, particularly in areas with limited to no birthing hospitals or maternal care facilities. The March of Dimes and Mom and Baby Care Health Center will bring prenatal screenings and maternal education directly to the Southland starting this summer.
Go ahead. Starting this summer, go ahead.
I was saying that's important because we want to bring care to where moms need. We want to take those obstacles low. We want to remove those barriers, and we know that accessing health care can be difficult for people who are busy. We want to make sure those barriers are super low, coming to where our members are, coming to where our community lives and works, and giving them the care that they need.
I hear the thing, Meridian, is showing up. You guys could just write a check, but you get in there like sleeves rolled up, helping people at the ground level. What is the kind of reaction that you get from folks when you come into the community and make sure that they have what they need?
Really, it's a warm reception. Lots of folks aren't expecting their insurers to be hyper-local and embedded in the community. And the great thing about our partnership with March of Dimes is that our missions align, right? Meridian's mission is to connect with members to quality care, whole care, and to support their lives at their healthiest point. Right? March of Dimes' mission is to lead the fight to the health of all moms and babies with the goal to end preventable maternal health risk and preventable preterm and infant death. And so, together, we're working to close those health equity gaps and to bring health care to moms and babies. We want to make sure that we meet families where they are and give them as much support as they need during pregnancy and parenting journeys. And then what that means in the community, Patty, is that we're a brand that people can see and trust. People know that when they call our member care lines, they can get someone who's willing to listen, willing to connect them to care. And what that means for pregnant moms is let us know and let your provider know that you're pregnant through that notice of pregnancy, and let us connect you to resources. Let us connect you to a doula. Let us connect us to programming for the soon-to-be dads, partners, so that the prenatal and postpartum period for moms is successful and supported.
I really think that we need to make sure that folks know about this. And what are ways in which, people in other communities, in the white community, the Latino community, can do to have these conversations? Because we talk about it, and I think it becomes background noise that Black women are more likely to die in childbirth at a rate that is just, I don't think people realize. Or at least if they do, they forget about it. But more than 85% of the deaths are preventable. What can we do to help is, I guess, one of the things. Just having conversations, making sure more people know about your services and the risks.
Yeah, and so what I would say is the statistics we talk about are call to action, whether you're Black, Latino, other, right? The idea is to get in contact and to find a provider that you trust, to engage in care that's good for you, that's good for your baby. If you're a Meridian member, Patty, what we want you to do is go to ilmeridian.com/momcareconnect to learn more about the maternal health sources we have for members. And at our Chicago Heights event tomorrow, we're going to have translator there. Habla español. You're going to have someone there speaking to you in Spanish, right? If you need translation services beyond Spanish, we have those services available for moms and families. And so what I think is important to understand is that there are trusted organizations like March of Dimes that will be at the event tomorrow. I believe we have 30-plus community resources there to take part of health education, ask a doctor, immunizations, and other screenings for the entire family, Patty. So this isn't one thing that's limited to one culture. There's culturally concordant care for all at the event for tomorrow.
And I think another thing to remind, expectant mothers or anybody that when we're having conversations about maternal health is that every pregnancy is different, even if you've been pregnant before, right?
Patty, you were right about that. I'm 7 months postpartum with my second. The first one was the pregnancy journey was beautiful. After I had the baby, everything went into a way that I could not imagine. That was markedly different from this second pregnancy, and I thank God, Patty, if I'm being frank. So, yes, every pregnancy is different, but that is precisely why we want the community and members at large to get in contact with their practitioner, get that prenatal care. We know that good prenatal care is associated with positive birth weight, right, with positive birthing outcomes. And so that's why we want moms to get in contact with their providers.
Again, we're talking to Meridian Vice President of Government and Community Relations, Tangela Enyia. And to make this personal as well, so I have two boys. They are now 20 and 22 years old. My older son is about to graduate from college. I'm not old enough for this, Tangela. But the same thing. My first pregnancy, I mean, they were so wildly different. My first pregnancy was great, perfectly healthy. I loved, being a new mom, and I mean, things could not have gone more sideways for my second pregnancy. And to bring this into what we're talking about, not just how different those pregnancies were. I had to go on non-stress tests twice a week when they detected an irregular heartbeat. This is why regular visits are important, folks. That prenatal care is crucial. It turns out, long story short, my son has a very rare genetic disorder called primrose. We just found out he's 20 now. We just found out last year he's the 53rd person to be diagnosed in the world with primrose. But what my point being is that, you never know, he had jaundice, all different kinds of complications, and you need to have a plan. It's if you have as much support as possible going into it, then you're more prepared for anything that might happen, right?
That's 100% right, and the people around you are prepared to be supported. As you know, Patty, going into that, what we know is when moms are supported, there's a better postpartum period for her and baby. And so that's why tomorrow's event is absolutely for moms, but it's for the whole entire family. We have a kids zone. We have community partners there that are there to serve dads and partners. And what we're getting at is a healthy community starts with a healthy family unit. And that's what we're after at Meridian.
And I want to remind folks again, this event is tomorrow in Chicago Heights at the Chicago Heights Park District Recreation Center. Free health screenings, fresh produce, diapers, prenatal resources, doula support, and a lot more from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. open to families across South Suburban Cook County. And I want to invite folks to go to ilmeridian.com for more information about all the support they provide there. And I also the other thing I was going to say about March of Dimes, I knew I had another point. I almost forgot. So March of Dimes, folks, has been around, I believe, since the 1930s. I might be wrong about that, but I know it was started, I believe, in part by Franklin Roosevelt. And the whole idea was that everyone could kick in a dime. So with the research that they've done, actually, Tangela, they saved my son's life because he was not able to hold oxygen in his lungs, and they had to give him surfactant, which was researched, and that whole funding was from the March of Dimes. So what March of Dimes does at every level is crucial. So I want to thank you so much for the work that you're doing with them as well.
Thank you, Patty, and congratulations to you, Mama, with a son that is making his way through college, but also it speaks to the longevity of March of Dimes and really our investment in this partnership, Patty. So thank you for your time today.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time and the work that you do. I look forward to talking to you again. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Let's take a break here, and we'll continue our conversation in just a moment. If you want to give us a call, we can open the phone lines in a moment, or text us at 773-763-9278. That's 773-763-9278. We'll continue the conversation in just a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal, KKNW 1150, and, of course, we're live streaming on Facebook and YouTube, and we're so thrilled that you're all here. Or maybe, as Politics Bar calls it, you're listening in future times on a podcast. Hello to you. And here I am back here. More in a moment.
Maybe it was a family vacation or a school field trip. But there you were, standing in awe at a national park. We are the National Park Foundation, and together with you, we're creating a future where every person, every generation, gets their chance at an unforgettable moment. Today, tomorrow, forever. Learn more at nationalparks.org/foundation.
Mom was always very organized. But my sister and I noticed she started to forget things.
Telling my girls about my Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard.
But Mom's early detection gave us time to make a plan.
My sister and I were there for Mom and each other.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
There are 1,000 ways to say it.
Nope. Knock it off. Shut it down. Dream on. No dice. Give it a rest. Not a chance.
Or just
all text. You focus on the road.
As a passenger, you have the power to prevent an accident. There are 1,000 ways to stop a distracted driver. Choose one.
A message from CTIA.
As farmers and ranchers, stewardship of the land comes naturally. Your work keeps our water clean, improves the soil, and enhances wildlife habitat. It also provides countless benefits, not just for you and your family, but for millions of Americans who depend on this region every day without even realizing it. Thank you for being stewards of America's prairie for all of us. Take a moment to find out how conservation pays. Visit conservationpays.org.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
I was trying to find some music. Andy Miles, before he left, was like, "Hey, you don't play other Steve Goody songs," and I was going to try to put. There's Vote Blue. There's Vote Gosh Darn. I was trying to find the Jan 6 stuff because Tina Peters just got out in Colorado. Her sentence has been commuted by the governor, and I'm guessing it's because he doesn't want the residents of Colorado to suffer because he's being threatened by Donald Trump. They wanted Tina Peters to go free, even though she broke many laws and was convicted of multiple felonies. We have this from Steve Goody. We have this one on the board.
Bad words in this song, they're blasphemous. I can't sing along. Well, here's a version just for you. Sing with me, just like Jesus would do.
I haven't heard this one in a while, so thanks for the reminder, Andy.
Vote, gosh darn it. It's the American thing to vote, gosh darn it. See that you vote.
That's Steve Goody, who does my theme song. He does some parody songs. You can go to stevegoody.com and find all of his music. He's also the regular host every Sunday night in Nashville at the Bluebird Cafe, the world-renowned Bluebird Cafe. And then he's got this one, too.
My friend Marty, he wants to split the party. He wants blue folks in red states to vote green. I can see his point, though I really gotta say, no, we can't have another 2016. It seems nothing beats orange, nothing even freaking rhymes with it. What's a battered nation supposed to do?
See, the reason I don't play these anymore is that we voted the hell out of ourselves. We voted as hard as we could, and stuff is happening anyway. I mean, that's what's so hard. I heard somebody who was talking about it earlier about voting harder. And I mean, the thing is that we have to vote as hard as we always have, and then extra, get more people to register to vote, get more people involved. And I honestly, I'm trying. Can I be honest? I'm trying very hard to not just feel a little way about things, how they're going. And that's why it's good to take a break. I took a break a little bit from social media. You can follow me on the Instagram and Facebook. But I took a little pause on doing commercials because it's starting to take its toll as far as like reporting some of, like, I'm not reporting, but I'm sharing commentary on what's going on. I am doing commentary for the Heartland Signal newsroom, and I encourage you to follow the stories that they're reporting on. And it just, I feel as though for me, the bit of the camel's back is another notch sort of broken. It was the Civil Rights Act, and I've been struggling with talking about it. Even talking to Dwayne Kennedy yesterday, and I just feel as though we were placated. Somebody shared a really interesting perspective that James Baldwin had been talking about with the civil rights movement, and that, there's only so far you can push people. And that really, the one take on the Civil Rights Act was to placate an angry group of people, and predominantly people in black communities after the assassinations of Bobby Kennedy and Martin Luther King Jr. And, that whatever motives both JFK had and Lyndon Johnson to move in the directions of passing civil rights. But the Civil Rights Act, there was always, from liberals in power, at least, only just enough given. And this, I do feel like, I can't help but feel like it does go back to the Civil War and before, and that the promises made in our founding documents were written by and for white men for slave owners in large part. A lot of what, the negotiations that went on were to protect ownership and then later expansion of slave ownership. And I don't think we've ever come to terms with the fact that we, it was human trafficking, literally, in bondage and torture and, and also in the decimation of the native populations. We've never come to terms with that. And now seemingly hell-bent on erasing all of that in pursuit of what? Appeasing billionaires? This seems to be, I know that every single person in power that's doing this, that's dismantling all the things that had sort of been at least holding back the floodwaters of complete oppression for people who aren't the wealthiest or the white Christian nationalists or the people that would, lynch a black man and kill Medgar Evers. And do we have to go through all of the horrifying acts that are in our lifetimes for some of us? I was born in 1971, just within a decade of some of the most horrible things that have happened in black communities and to black people. And that, that we have watched black people killed in front of us, right? When we saw Alex Preddy and Renee Good executed in front of us, killed, murdered, whatever your word is for what happened to them, a lot of people were like, "Oh, I didn't think that would happen." Even though I didn't have the words for it, it was. I'm sorry, but it was surprising to people because, well, okay, George Floyd, he passed, fake money. He was breaking the law, and law enforcement backed the blue. Everybody could sort of find a way to justify it. And even though I had plenty of police officers, friends of mine, who told me that was illegal, that it was horrifying, and yet couldn't publicly ever say that. Well, anyway, Frank in Villa Park, talking me off a ledge of despair. How are you doing today?
Oh, Patty, I'm about to chime in on it. I wish I could talk you off of a ledge of despair, but the civil rights, you're absolutely right, in what you're saying, but, when they signed it into law, all the common sense people were like, thank God. You know what I mean? Yeah. People have come like, thank God. But everybody else has been working against it since that day.
Yeah.
You could look up to the history of why we don't have universal health care.
Yes.
It was going to be back in those days, and it was squashed because, you know what I mean?
Because it didn't want black people to benefit from it and also have healthier, safer, longer lives.
Right, and it goes into what you're saying about the childbirth. It's absolutely astonishing that there's a different ratio for black people, Latino people, white people. It's insane to think that there's not just one ratio of like people dying or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When things like this happen, it's so disheartening to hear you say that. But these poor people, their whole history, it seems, has been devastated by America and what we chose to do back in those days, or what people chose to do. No matter what, how far we get with people, how far someone gets, someone could always say something that brings it back to square one.
Yes.
People are horrible. And it's been, I grew up differently. I went to Glenwood School for Boys, 187th and Halsted. You know what the difference there was? We were all poor. Everybody got along together.
Right. Equal playing field. Yeah.
And I have a totally different perspective of people, that they're just people to me. It's always been that way. And I don't understand. It is taught. It is a horrible thing. I wish I could say life was going to get better. I honestly think it's only getting worse. All the prices of everything are staying up. They're going to stay up. This is the price of capitalism.
Yeah.
Everybody loves it, but now it's going against us. And the people at the top are popping corks. It's totally obvious now that they can give a rat's butt about us, about anybody else. He can't even concentrate on it's just bad, Patty. I'm very sorry.
I know, and I appreciate but knowing that we are miserable together with I know thousands of other people, and like you said, I mean, the Confederates were laughing and spitting in their faces this last week when people were protesting. Yeah. So they want us to be miserable, and I'm not going to say I'm not, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to. It just means I'm going to fight harder. I'm not going anywhere, and I know you're not either, Frank. I got to run for the break, my friend. No. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, everybody, we do have great conversations coming up in the next hour, and I just want to let you know, I want to thank our sponsors, Pride Coffee Roasters, and we have our friend Source Solar and Minocqua Brewing Company, as well as Are You Really Winning? Coming up, we're going to talk to Dave Bushaw, who's the independent candidate for Congress in Iowa's 2nd District, and we're going to talk to Dr. Katharine Wilkinson, author of Climate Wayfinding. Oh, she's fantastic. Good night, everybody. Love you, Lady B.
Today, 1 in 5 working-age Americans has a mental health condition.
People in all types of jobs and at all levels.
And the key to helping us succeed is a supportive and inclusive workplace.
All of us have a role to play in making that happen.
So what can I do to help?
As a CEO, I can set the tone for supportive culture.
As a manager, I can offer assistance and accommodations.
As a coworker, I can listen and be a source of support to my colleagues.
As someone with a mental health condition, I can ask for what I need to perform my best.
I can offer all employees the supports they need to deliver on the job. For the team
and for the business.
What can I do?
What can I do?
What can I do?
I can remind others
that we all benefit from workplaces that promote good mental health.
Mental health-friendly workplaces are more important than ever.
And all of us have a role to play in promoting them.
Learn more at whatcanyoudocampaign.org.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious, with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best.
AP News, I'm Ben Thomas. President Trump's due back at the White House this hour after his trip to China. Ed Donahue reports one issue still up in the air is a U.S. arms sale to Taiwan.
President Xi Jinping privately warned the president differences over the self-governed island, which Beijing claims as its own territory, could bring the U.S. and China into clashes or conflict.
For Taiwan, he feels very strongly. I made no commitment either way.
At this point, President Trump is undecided on the weapons deal.
I'll make a determination over the next fairly short.
In the House, this is New York Democrat Gregory Meeks.
I think that she has leverage over the president.
Some Republicans, like Pennsylvania's Brian Fitzpatrick, are expressing displeasure with the president's non-decision.
We have to support Taiwan. Just like we have to support Ukraine.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio has said the U.S. policy toward Taiwan is unchanged, and it would be a terrible mistake for China to take Taiwan by force. Ed Donahue, Washington.
Iran's foreign minister says a lack of trust remains the biggest obstacle in negotiations to end the war with the U.S. Oil prices jumped more than 3% today, Brent crude settling above $109 per barrel. Sources tell AP the Trump administration's preparing to go to a grand jury to seek an indictment against Cuba's former president Raul Castro over the 1996 shootdown of planes operated by a Miami exile group. And Jennifer King reports in Maine.
There's been a huge explosion. The silo just exploded.
Multiple people are injured after a fire and explosion at a lumber mill in Searsmont, Maine.
Multiple firefighters injured and burning.
In this audio, courtesy Broadcastify.com, a first responder calls for mutual aid in scanner traffic from Kennebec area fire departments. Maine Health, a Trauma One hospital in Portland, said they were receiving 10 of the patients. Catherine Robbins Halstead with Robbins Lumber says company employees are accounted for.
Buildings can be replaced, employees cannot.
Authorities are investigating the cause of the blast. I'm Jennifer King.
This is AP News. Lisa Dwyer reports Democratic Congressman Steve Cohen of Tennessee is ending his bid for re-election.
His career upended by the redistricting battles that are sweeping the country.
This is by far the most difficult moment I've had as elected official.
Republicans in Tennessee enacted a new U.S. House map after a Supreme Court decision that allows the carving up of Cohen's majority black district, reshaping it to the GOP's advantage. Cohen has represented his Memphis-based district for about 2 decades.
Since my first election in 2006, I've had 9 re-elects, and I haven't lost a precinct in my reelects, and I've had significant African-American opponents almost every time I've run.
Cohen is challenging the state's redistricting effort in court and says he would re-enter the race if that lawsuit succeeds. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
There's more news at apnews.com. I'm Ben Thomas. Thanks for listening.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Mainly cloudy tonight with a chance of thunderstorms developing after midnight. Temperature around 62 degrees with winds out of the southwest at 10 to 20. On Saturday, we'll see a chance of thunderstorms with a high temperature of 83 and southwest winds at 10 to 20. Sunday, chance of thunderstorms with a high temperature of 84. Monday, chance of showers and storms again with a high temperature around 85 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather forecast. Right now, it's 75.
Kids across America are going to school hungry. Millions of kids every day. But one simple thing can help change all of this for a hungry child in America. Good, healthy food and the energy it brings. With help from caring people across America, No Kid Hungry is providing healthy meals and hope to hungry kids so they can build better futures. To learn more about ending child hunger in America, go to helpnokidhungry.org today.
You're listening to WCPT 820, because facts matter.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught driving asses says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we drive it home. And we want to say hello to our friends listening on KTNF AM 950 in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and KKNW 1150 in Seattle. Of course, we're broadcasting here in Chicago on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. And you know you can catch these shows anywhere. If you miss any of our conversations, you can find us anywhere you listen to your podcast, including heartlandsignal.com, where all of our interviews are also available, either as full shows or individual interviews, like today's guest. Our next guest is running for Iowa's 2nd Congressional District as an independent, and he comes from working people. Dave Bushaw. Dave, am I saying your last name correctly, my friend?
Yeah, it's Dave Bushaw. Yeah, you got it right.
Dave Bushaw. Now, you grew up detasseling corn and working in a chicken hatchery. You became the youngest self-made first-generation farmland owner in the country, and you ran a small farm called Solidarity Fields, organizing for Bernie Sanders in 3 states. You play folk music. I'm not reading your resume to you, but this is just wonderful to talk to you about your campaign. You play folk and labor music at picket lines. You're not a politician. You're what politicians wish or say they are all about. So, hi, Dave. Welcome to Driving It Home with me. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me back. I do appreciate it.
Of course. Now, tell us a little about, I know I asked you before, but for those of our listeners who maybe are finding us and you for the first time, where'd you grow up, my friend?
Sure. So I grew up in a small town, West Union, Iowa, only a couple thousand people. Grew up on what is arguably the poorest street in West Union, Linden Street. After 31 years of my life now, they're finally redoing that street for the first time I've ever seen in my entire life. But grew up real working class poor. Didn't realize we were poor because everybody around us was poor. So I just thought that was the normal thing until I got older and realized it was definitely not normal. And there was quite a few people that had a whole lot more than us.
Isn't it strange when you learn that? I have a similar background, and my friends in grade school told me that they knew. They were like, "Oh yeah, we knew you were dirt poor," but I grew up in a neighborhood where when you start looking around, and as you mentioned, as I got older, I'm like, "Oh wait a minute, why is there such a big disparity?" So was it a lifetime of experiences that sort of inform you? And then tell us about like that aha moment where now is a time for me to run.
Yeah, so the aha moment didn't come immediately. You know, I like I said, I grew up working class poor. Didn't realize it. It was normal to just have the neighbors' children come over to our house for dinner, or maybe we would go school clothes shopping or shoe shopping with their family. Didn't put two and two together as to why we were kind of communally pooling those resources in our networks. But started to realize the problem with the world when I got older. I got into the punk music scene, so left high school and was doing the whole basement show thing, running around. Still at that point was just angry. Didn't know anything about organizing or political action until I started learning about folk musicians like Pete Seeger, Utah Phillips, Sister Ann Feeney, and Woody Guthrie and others, where I realized these are people that hold that same level of agitation, but they are organizing people into action, changeable action, deliverable gains for the working class. So became a working class musician, organized in politics for a long time for Bernie Sanders, with other organizations around accountability and transparency. It wasn't until I was sitting down with some buddies of mine who are not political at all, like many people here in Northeast Iowa, and they said, Dave, you should run for Congress. And I said, that sounds stupid, buddy. You don't even vote. What are you talking about? And he says, well, you're young. You know how to do it. He's like, if you don't do it, none of us are going to be able to, and we're never going to have someone in there like us. He's like, you got to do it. You're one of us, and you got to do it for all of us. And it just clicked. We started looking into it, and it seemed extremely plausible. And we can get into those details and numbers if you'd like. But
no, absolutely.
That's what it was.
Yeah, because you're not running as a Democrat. You are running as an independent. Why do you think that is, like, what is the path and what's the viability for that this year in 2026?
Sure. Let's start by Democrats are the severe minority in this district. In Iowa's 2nd Congressional District, there's about 22,000 more no-party independents than there are Democrats. And as of April 2026, statewide in Iowa, there are over 100,000 more independents than Democrats. And independents, no-party registrants in Iowa now outnumber both Democrats and Republicans. I don't think Iowa's left. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's purple. I think it's populist. I think prairie populism still exists here. And that's what I'm hoping to tap into, is that working class agitation. Those that we've not been forgotten about. We've been exploited, abused, and used for decades, and we're sick and tired of it.
Well, when you say that, being, sold out, not forgotten as part of what, Iowa workers are experiencing, tell us what that looks like right now on the ground. What are people in your district saying that reflects that?
Sure. A big one that people are afraid of is the acquisition of farmland by corporations. Me as a young farmer, one of the youngest in the country at 19 years old, first generation, it's something that is extremely concerning to me.
Uh-oh.
I apologize if there's poor service. I do live on a farm. Closest town to me has 54 people in it, so very rural.
Gotcha.
In the 80s, less than 0% or less than 1% of farm was in a corporate trust. And today it's more than 23% of all Iowa farmland. 1 out of 4 acres is in a corporate trust. So we're seeing this huge transition of farmland to the next generation, the next 10, 15 years here. And a lot of young folks are either gone or they're not going to be able to afford to inherit their parents' farm. So that's a big issue, but as well as healthcare access. If you live in Powesheet County, down where Grinnell College is, there's only one hospital that has a birthing facility in a 7-county radius. And each one of these counties are 24 by 24 miles squared approximately. It's a huge area with a huge healthcare infrastructure disparity. Private equity firms are scooping up our housing, trailer courts, nursing homes, and farmland. You name it. Everything that's the worst is coming down on Iowa twice as hard.
Yeah, we've talked about also the rising cancer rates, which has gone through the roof. You were one of the top 2 states in the country with just these incredibly catastrophic numbers. Is that right?
Yes, I believe if the numbers are still staying the same as they were, and of course we're getting worse, we have the second highest rates of cancer per capita, and we are number 1 for rising cancer rates. A lot of that can be attributed to the nitrates that are concentrated through the tiling in our fields that flow into the rivers and our water sources. In Des Moines, we have the largest, I believe it's still the largest, water treatment facility in the world.
Yeah, they are experiencing some of the worst cancer rates.
Nitrate problems. Rubber chemicals.
Sorry, you glitched a little bit there. Go ahead, repeat that one too. with the nitrates.
Oh, yeah, no, I was saying, let alone the cancer rates due to the nitrates in the water, but the PFAS and PFOS, which is affecting the entire country, these forever chemicals and these microplastics. We have the infrastructure and technology to fix this. It should be a national emergency, and we should be allocating funds to give all Americans clean water.
Absolutely. And because of that, because of your experience and, knowledge of what that looks like on the ground, what are, these tariffs, by the way, we're supposed to help farmers. And in addition to the health concerns that we have, not just with the birthing centers and the cancer rates, also just the ability for farmers to survive. The tariffs, according to Trump, was going to be Freedom Day, wasn't it, for farmers? What are you hearing from farmers in regards to how they're doing?
Sure. A lot of farmers are concerned, not just with the tariffs, but also the war in the Ukraine and the war in Iran. A lot of fertilizers, a lot of nitrates are imported from these countries, who are some of the largest manufacturers and producers of these farm chemicals. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of concern with that. There's a lot of turmoil and uncertainty about the markets, because over the last decades we've put such a dependence on undependable foreign markets that can just up and leave and decide they're going to go to Argentina rather or whatever. Farmers are in a very precarious state, and since most of us here just grow corn and soybeans, we have a very limited market that is reliant on an international buyer market, and that's very concerning. I'm not anti-tariff, by the way. I do want to make that clear. I'm not anti-tariff, but the part this administration is getting wrong is that with tariffs, you need to couple that with direct investment in manufacturing production capacities here in the United States. If we can't make it here in America and we throw a tariff on it, that's just a penalty on the consumer if we're not investing into manufacturing capacities here.
And, with everything that's going on, not just with the tariffs, but I wonder how farmers are doing and businesses are doing. I mean, you worked in a poultry, Agri-Star meat and poultry as a kid. The migrant workforce in Iowa, I would imagine, is significant, and ICE raids have continued to persist throughout the country. How is Iowa doing in regards to that?
Sure. So Agri-Star Meat and Poultry, where I worked, that was the site of at the time, the largest workplace immigration raid in U.S. history back in 2008. There were folks that were pulled out of there, and they never came home to their kids. So their kids quietly kept the house together, did what they could to raise money until they were old enough to go and work at the place where their parents were yanked away from and deported to another country. It's been a pretty big problem here. I think that if we want to be a country, still, we need to have strong borders, but I don't like feds running around my backyard, scooping up people indiscriminately, especially nonviolent workers who maybe their biggest crime was crossing a border, fleeing a country that our CIA and national intelligence destabilized over the last couple of decades. I can't hold too much against them. I think our immigration process should be more streamlined, less cost prohibitive, and we should have naturalization programs we should be investing into, and English learning programs we should be investing into in these communities. A lot of the time we talk about migrant workers, and it's all about, the impacts on our markets. What about the impacts on not just the American workers, but the exploited workers that come here as migrant workers? When we allow for that exploitation to happen, it also drives down the standard of living and standard of competitive wages for documented legal American citizens as well. So it's a problem that crosses the borders.
Dave, do you have time to stick with us for another segment? I'd like to take a break here because I have some more questions. Do you have time?
Yeah, I got time. Absolutely.
All right. Excellent. We are talking to Dave Bushaw, who is running for Iowa's 2nd Congressional District as an independent. Dave, before we go to the break, let folks know a website or social media handles you'd like them to follow so they can catch up on your campaign.
Sure. If you'd like to support this movement, you can go to davebushaw.com or you can follow us on social media at Bushaw for Congress.
Excellent. We're going to take a break here and continue our conversation on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal, KKNW 1150 in Seattle, and KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, which I think a lot of your district members or residents might be able to hear from that station as well. Let's take a break and return in just a moment.
My mom has taken up going to the park to practice yoga.
My dad's going to a club, but not a book club, a salsa club.
Finding new hobbies comes with age.
My mom has started getting lost and not knowing where she's going.
Becoming lost or disoriented doesn't. Confusion with time or place may be a sign of Alzheimer's. An early diagnosis can help improve the quality of life for your loved one. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Today, 1 in 5 working-age Americans has a mental health condition.
People in all types of jobs and at all levels.
And the key to helping us succeed is a supportive and inclusive workplace.
All of us have a role to play in making that happen.
So what can I do to help?
As a CEO, I can set the tone for supportive culture.
As a manager, I can offer assistance and accommodations.
As a coworker, I can listen and be a source of support to my colleagues.
As someone with a mental health condition, I can ask for what I need to perform my best.
I can offer all employees the supports they need to deliver on the job. For the team
and for the business.
What can I do?
What can I do?
What can I do?
I can remind others
that we all benefit from workplaces that promote good mental health.
Mental health-friendly workplaces are more important than ever.
And all of us have a role to play in promoting them.
Learn more at whatcanyoudocampaign.org.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
From city streets to political beats, you're driving it home with Patti Vasquez, where progressive talk fuels the ride.
Thank you so much for joining us. We continue our drive home on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal, KKNW 1150 and KTNF AM 950. Of course, you can watch the entire show on Facebook or on YouTube. And we also encourage you, if you've missed any of our conversations or you want to go back and listen to something again, you can find everything wherever you listen to your podcast, including heartlandsignal.com. And you'll want to hear more of this interview. We're talking to the candidate for Iowa's 2nd Congressional District as an independent. Dave Bushaw joins us. And we were talking, first of all, we haven't even talked about the mechanics of running for office in Iowa. I know a little bit about running for office in Illinois, but tell me about what it is like to get on the ballot access, all the ins and outs that maybe we don't necessarily think about when an independent or somebody who's outside the party runs for office.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you. It's less prohibitive than a lot of other states. I know that there's huge costs to get on the ballot in some other states, but here in Iowa, if you want to get on the ballot, you need to collect, as it is right now as a House congressional member, 1,726 signatures total, and you have to collect a minimum of 47 signatures across half of the counties in the district, so 12 counties in the district. The thing about our campaign is we don't have a party apparatus, a machine that is harvesting signatures for us. This district is 13,000 square miles. It's about 4.5 hours from top to bottom and about 4.5 hours from east to west of the district. It's huge. And this is going 60 miles an hour, mind you. I mean 55, excuse me. Our speed limit's still 55.
We won't tell anybody how fast you're going.
But the thing is we that's for the minimum access. We anticipate a challenge on our signatures. So not only are we going to get the minimum of 1726, not only are we going to get the minimum of 47 in each of the 12 counties, but across all 22 counties, after this week, we will be at double the signature threshold requirement at over 200% in every single county. We're not going to leave any room to be kicked off this ballot because we have heard that there are concerted efforts to challenge our signatures once we turn them in on June 2nd.
Well, I would imagine so, because we often talk about the independents, right? Like we think of them as going from, well, we've had it with the Republicans, now we'll vote for the Democrats. And I think this is an opportunity, if I'm imagining this correctly, an opportunity for independents to have their voices heard at a time when support for Republicans and Democrats seems to be pretty, I would say, dismal, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, they're both two wings of the same bird that feeds corporate greed. The American people know this. It reflects in congressional approval numbers. It reflects in the lack of any kind of consequential legislation passed from either party. Even when they had majorities, when they had trifectas under Biden, under Obama, under Trump, under the last however many presidents we've had, they've all had a trifecta at one point. Nothing consequential has come to the working class. People are sick and tired of it, and I get a lot of pressure to drop out. I really do. The thing is I've organized in politics for 14 years, and I've done it in a way that's maintained my conviction and morality, where I don't have to listen to anybody in power. The only people that I listen to and that I'm beholden to is the working class. And so I'm going to be able to stick it out all the way to the end for them. They will have a third option on that ballot. And my goal is in 2028 to work with the Independent Candidate Network, which I'm a board member of, to run a independent congressional candidate in all 4 districts in Iowa. This is their warning right now.
That's amazing. And when you talk about working class families, I grew up as we mentioned, my background is working class, lower, I would say lower middle class. Grew up in a 1-bedroom apartment where I had to share a bunk bed with my dad in the dining room because my mom threw us both out of her bedroom. It's a long story, and I'm in therapy. But things like even when I was a kid in 1984, I was terrified. I had a really bad stomach ache, and I was afraid that if I had to go to the emergency room, that it was going to put my parents into bankruptcy. Like a 13-year-old shouldn't be worried about going to the doctor, and yet here we are. It's even worse now in 2026, where people put off going to the doctor, anything that even taking care of themselves preventatively. They don't want to pay for that copay, and then they do end up in the emergency room, they can end up in the emergency room, or when a sickness or an illness has progressed or an injury, you'd call health insurance premiums, copays, and deductibles private taxes, which is fantastic framing. Where did that come from, and why does it matter how we name it?
I don't remember where it came from. It might have just been on one of my ramblings with some of my friends. But they're money that's imposed onto working people to remain functioning, productive, and healthy members of society. And I'm calling for abolishing private taxes and implementing single-payer health care as an American guarantee. All this money that we pay, premiums and co-payments, deductibles, we don't get to see the paper trail where that money goes. It goes to doctor having to hire staff to negotiate with the staff your insurance company hired to argue about why you can't be covered for that cancer treatment. It's an entire racket, it needs to end. Obamacare didn't fix the problem. Obamacare wasn't designed for the working class poor like me. My mom didn't have health insurance I got to stay on until I was 26 years old. No, we got the penalty for in our taxes on our return, which cut into our Christmas gifts. Working class poor, we didn't get a lot around Christmas. We got it when our parents had surplus funds, and that was during tax time. So Obamacare wasn't even designed for us. And there was a lot of hullabaloo about how if we didn't extend the ACA subsidies, your premiums and co-payments are going to double, triple, quadruple. Nobody was asking why, Patty. Why, without taxpayer subsidies, are they going to double, triple, and quadruple? So what's happening is you're paying your premiums, but on top of it, your tax dollars are subsidizing these prohibitively high costs that the insurance companies are imposing. It is a racket, and Obamacare, it wasn't even Obama's original plan. It was a McKinsey Group, Mitt Romney plan is what we ended up with.
Yeah, it was what they thought they could convince Republicans to do, right? It was the best they could do, and that's been every step of the way. When you say that Democrats and Republicans are, both sides of the same coin. Part of that is, it seems to me that Democrats keep going, well, if we just play by the rules, if we just maintain the status quo, maybe they'll play. But also a lot of them are benefiting from this structure, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Whether it's this or whether it's the private equity firm structure. Right now there's an argument between if a private equity firm should be able to own 100 or 300 houses in Congress right now. That's where the argument's at.
No houses.
And the reality is neither.
Yeah, no houses.
Yeah, 0 is the right number, Patty. Yeah. But they're arguing about that, and I can see, if you look at the numbers, you can see why. Private equity firms donated more to Democrats in the 2026 election than they did Republicans. That's a fact.
Yeah. Okay. So to that, right? That's Blackstone and the Carlyle Group that are buying up homes, and it's to your point. No Democrats or Republicans are naming those groups. They're just saying hedge fund investors or vulture capitalists, right? They're not even naming them, but you are.
That's right. There's a folk musician by the name of Utah Phillips. He was an old IWW member, and he said the world isn't dying, it's being killed, and the people killing it have names and addresses, and we need to be bold enough to say their names and go after them. We can't just talk about these vague concepts. No, there are individuals doing this, and they need to be named and held to account.
And you talk about the musicians. You play you play music at strikes. What does it mean? It's got to inject some energy into folks that are walking the line too. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, absolutely. That's probably my favorite part of ever working in politics was going and playing the strike lines. Out on BCTGM when Kellogg was on strike down in Omaha, and Dan Osborne was actually leading that strike. He's running as an independent for Senate right now in Nebraska. I was down there. I drove a truckload of wood all the way, 5.5 hours across the state to bring wood for their burn piles, and I played the music next to the burn pits while they were staying warm on the strike line. It's something that's been forgotten in the movement. Democrats are boring, honestly, and kind of lame, and the Republicans, they used to have some kind of cool music back in the day, but we're learning more about some of those folks. I was raised on Kid Rock. I was raised on Uncle Kracker. They're very problematic nowadays, and definitely not someone to look forward to, but we have the that power that existed, the Woody Guthries, the Phil Oaks, Pete Seegers of the world. And I think we need to rekindle that again in this movement. Music is the universal language that speaks to everybody. A lot of the songs I play are utilitarian songs. They're written on old Christian hymnals that everybody knew the tune of. They just had to learn some words to, especially when there's a lot of migrant workers that came over back in the day. They knew the tune, just put new words in front of it.
Oh, I love that you do that, and you're absolutely right. I think it's something that crosses all kinds of, whether it's, gender, racial, working, socioeconomic, uniting people through music is an amazing thing. And before we go, I do want to ask you, because your campaign posted that you were uninvited from the Congressional Candidate Forum at Luther College. What happened and who made that call?
Yeah, so that would have been the president, Mr. Casale. He is the student president of the Luther College Democrats. Initially, over a month ago, we were reached out to, and we were invited to this forum along with a number of other candidates. We sent back our availability poll and said we were excited to go. We got a response back saying that's great. We'll follow up with more info. No more info came. They did the news release. We weren't in it, so I brought it up to them. Last Thursday night, they added us to it, and then by Friday morning, we got an email saying, actually, psych, you're not invited.
Wow.
Not surprising. It's not surprising. I'm a little surprised it came from Luther College. Honestly, they're one of the more accepting and reputable colleges in Iowa, in my opinion. But not entirely surprised, just frustrated.
No, I agree. It's very frustrating. I'd love to check in with you again. For folks who, again, want to learn more about your campaign and possibly support you financially, volunteering, all the things that a candidate needs, your vote, your time, your money, what would you like folks to know?
Sure. If you want to go to davebushaw.com, you'll be able to join a moment that you're meant to be part of. This is the declaration of war against the two parties. I have no intention of stopping anytime soon. We've got the infrastructure set up to carry us all the way to November, and that's exactly what we intend to do. So davebushaw.com or at Bushaw for Congress on social media. And thank you again.
Of course. Thank you for joining us. And thank you everyone for tuning in on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal, KKNW 1150, and KTNF AM 950 for our interview with Iowa's second congressional candidate as an independent, Dave Bushaw. We'll talk to you again soon, my friend. Go get him.
Thank you, sister.
Take care. More after this.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
I'm meteorologist Ray Miller from the Weatherology Weather Center. Mainly cloudy tonight with a chance of thunderstorms developing after midnight. Temperature around 62 degrees with winds out of the southwest at 10 to 20. On Saturday, we'll see a chance of thunderstorms with a high temperature of 83 and southwest winds at 10 to 20. Sunday, chance of thunderstorms with a high temperature of 84. Monday, chance of showers and storms again with a high temperature around 85 degrees. That's your latest Chicago weather forecast. Right now, it's 75.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
This is a WCPT Veteran Minute. When Pearl Harbor was attacked, men of all races across the country volunteered to join the fight, despite the United States Army being heavily segregated. Black enlistees were mostly assigned to combat support roles. But this did not stop Lieutenant Colonel Paul L. Bates, who knew of the racism and pushed his soldiers to achieve excellence. The 761st Tank Battalion was formed in the spring of 1942. It contained 30 black officers, 6 white officers, and 676 enlisted men. The unit donned the nickname the Black Panthers, wearing patches on their uniforms with a panther on it and the slogan, "Come Out Fighting." And in 1944, the 761st was assigned to General George Patton's Third Army in France. General Patton gave a colorful speech to his crew, and the Black Panthers became the first African-American tank squad in World War II. And by the end of the war, the Black Panthers had fought further east than every other United States unit, receiving 391 decorations for their heroism.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue our drive home. I'm your host, Patti Vasquez, and we want to thank all of our friends who are listening in all parts of the country, even the world. Of course, we're here on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal, and then we have our friends listening on KKNW 1150 in Seattle, KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, everyone who's tuning in on Facebook or on YouTube, and of course, you can catch everything on podcasts wherever you tune into those, including heartlandsignal.com. We are thrilled to welcome our next guest, who has been described as a visionary climate leader. And what I love about her is that she leads with humanity first, not doom, because we know we get a lot of doom these days. Dr. Katharine Wilkinson co-founded the All We Can Save Project and is the author of the New York Times bestseller, Drawdown, and the national bestseller, All We Can Save. Her brand new book is Climate Wayfinding, Healing Ourselves and the Planet We Call Home, and it already sold out on bookshop.org, which tells you everything. Time Magazine has named her one of the 15 women who will save the world in 2019, and she has a doctorate from Oxford. Don't tell my mom, because she'll be like, see, you could have gone to Oxford and been this woman. I can't be this woman because she's the woman. She finds her deepest joy on a mountain or a horse, and I can relate to that energy completely. Please welcome Dr. Katharine Wilkinson. Hi, Doc. How are you doing?
Hi, Patty. It is so nice to hang with you.
I actually do want to. It's lovely to have you hang with us, and I feel like I should go horseback riding with you. English or Western?
Heck yeah, English. I do dressage. What about you?
Interesting. Either, but I prefer English. It's just harder to come by in my neck. Horses in general are harder to come by in Chicago.
You know, horses in general, like in human life, are increasingly hard to come by, which is a real shame because they're amazing.
Yeah, well, since we're already on this, and we'll come back to everything that you do, I have a son who has severe disabilities. He has a very rare genetic disorder called Primrose, and he has been doing hippotherapy since he was 2.5 years old, and he is now 20, and it is one of the things that has really brought a lot of structure and connection for him. So I agree. They're incredible.
That's amazing that he's had that as an outlet and a support.
We're grateful for that. So I recommend it to anybody who might be interested. Okay, so let's get to your books. First, the title is Climate Wayfinding, not climate fixing or climate fighting, which we often hear a lot of that. It's a deliberate choice, obviously. So what does wayfinding mean to you, and why does it matter right now to folks?
So the premise of this work and kind of the origin of that name, and I am a word nerd, so all the words have a lot of deliberate choice behind them. But we are living increasingly in a world where our maps are coming up short, right? And that is quite literally true in an era of climate change, as glaciers melt, as shorelines slip beneath rising seas, as entire forests or towns go up in flames. Like literally the maps are having a hard time keeping up. But it's not just our geographic maps, right? It's our internal maps, our organizational maps, our societal maps, the ways that we've used to steer and make sense of what it means to be human, how to shape a life. Like all of that is feeling the crunch, I think, of this time. You add in what's happening with democracy and technology, and it's no wonder we're all feeling this kind of unsteady ground underfoot. And so wayfinding is about, how do we orient? How do we navigate? We are full up with information. Lots of us have our hearts broken in some way or another, but we often lack spaces for doing that sense making and doing that navigational work.
Yeah. And I think that, people feel helpless, right? Like even, I, during the pandemic started pliking, which is hiking and picking up garbage. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but right.
I love that.
Yeah. There's a whole website, pliking. And I wanted to do something that I could see, right? I could participate and see the success of that. I even organized a group to clean up an area of our neighborhood. And I mean, it's a small thing, but it connects you, doesn't it? That's what we're looking for and what we encourage folks to do, right?
Yeah. I mean, so many people feel so small, right, in the face of these huge challenges, which makes complete sense. But too often we say, well, I'm too small and it's too late and there's really nothing I can do, right?
Yes.
And I think when you look at the sweep of human history, every bit of progress that we celebrate has happened because someone, or in more cases, someone's said, actually, there is something that we can do, and damn, we're going to try. right? And that's the moment that I think we're in. We need so many more people rolling up their sleeves and planking and any other thing that feels like a way to claim, right, being alive and part of this extraordinary planet that we call home.
How do you do that without being disappointed in humanity? I mean, really, when you're picking up garbage, I mean, the number of, to me, I've never understood people just flicking their cigarettes wherever they are as though the world were their ashtray. And that gets into our water, into our soil, right?
Yeah. I mean, the human species it's a tough species to claim some days, you know. In every chapter of this book, there is a lighting the way story that brings forward the journey and the wisdom of another climate leader. And the last chapter of the book, Journeying Onward, shares the story of Sherry Mitchell, who's a Wabanaki leader based in Maine. And she shares in that story this piece of Wabanaki mythology, that human beings have been here 4 times before. We keep trying to come into like full alignment with life. And she says, you know, we're going to give it our best shot. And if it doesn't work out this time, we come back and we try again. And we pick up, she does not use a football analogy, but we pick up at the same point on the field, right, at the same yard line where we left off. And I think that gives me, I don't know, it gives me some kind of measure that we're in this great learning journey as a species. And I think about the words of W.S. Merwin, the poet, who said, on the last day of the world, I would want to plant a tree, right? That there's something about this that even when it feels like we're pushing boulders uphill again and again and again, it's still the right thing to do. And it's the best way to show up.
I feel like I'm in an Indigo Girls song, Galileo. How many times till my soul gets it right?
Hey, as an Atlantan, that really speaks to me.
There's folks listening thinking, she doesn't even know music. I know Indigo Girls. That's all I'm saying. At any rate, we are living through. You mentioned earlier, challenging government situation. We are living through a federal administration that is actively dismantling climate policy, EPA rollbacks, withdrawing from international agreements, opening protected lands. I just saw an image of some sort of plane spraying toxic chemicals over a forest. I can see in your eyes the frustration, but also like your hope still shines through. How do you manage that in a moment like this?
So one of the things that is kind of extraordinary and has happened in the sweep of time that I've been working on this issue. If you think back to like high school activist days, I've been in this for 27 years and counting. And back then, a couple things were not true. We did not have a climate majority, and we did not have the full set of solutions that we need. And where we are now, when we poll people around the world, upwards of 89% of people say that they want to see more action from governments on climate. 89% of people. The majority of people are worried. The majority of young people say that their emotions about this are showing up in day-to-day life, right? So that reminds me that we have people on our side, right? And that if democracy is really working, which is why you've got all kinds of meddling in democracy by the fossil fuel industry and other polluting interests, right? We wouldn't be here. So that's the one thing I hold on to on one hand. And the other is the solutions are extraordinary. Bill McKibben published a wonderful book last year called Here Comes the Sun about the extraordinary growth and acceleration of clean energy technologies that are now the cheapest way to produce electricity on the planet. That is our ticket to getting off of dirty, dirty coal, oil, gas. And that's not just good for the climate. Burning fossil fuels is the #1 killer on Earth. And so we're talking about something that just for public health alone, we should be really going after. And that combination of people power and solutions, that's what keeps me hopeful, because I think if we saw even a little bit more of that 89% of the climate majority leaning into climate solutions, we've got some hope ahead. we've got some hope ahead.
You mentioned that a lot of people sort of act like, what difference does it make? Or, I'm so small, or it's too late. And I feel that energy. Let's just stay specific, I guess, to Chicago, because, for me, from my personal experience and what I've seen around the world. And so I guess my question is, people act as though it's too late to whether it's our trains that run on diesel, whether it's making bike lanes more accessible and safer. But there have been other parts of the world where they also thought it was too late. They were car dependent, and yet still found a way to elevate pedestrians and make public transportation clean and safe and accessible to everyone. Where are there places in the world that you would point to as success stories that we might want to follow their lead?
That's such a great question. And I think there are amazing examples at the city level around the world. There are some wonderful organizations out there about mayors for climate action. And that's a really great resource to look at, like, where have certain policies been able to move forward, even when it seemed really tricky. But the story that I've been thinking about the most, and it's not specifically about a city, but it's about the power of bold vision and bold aspiration. And this is a story in the book as well. There was a class of law students at the University of the South Pacific in Fiji. And you can imagine, if you are from one of these small, low-lying island nations that are on the very front lines of climate change, some of which are predicted to go underwater entirely, you might feel like it's too late. There's nothing that we can do. And certainly these students were feeling super frustrated about the levers for action at the national level. They're not the big polluters, right? They are just at the receiving end of the behavior of the big polluters. And so this class of students got thinking about, what other levers could we pull? And the one that they honed in on was, hey, we have an international court of justice. This is the world court. We should take the world's biggest problem to the world's highest court and get a ruling on climate change and countries' responsibility to address it. Now, any lawyer, any scholar, any political mover and shaker would have told you, forget it. That's never going to get through the UN General Assembly. It's never going to make it to The Hague, to the court. But in fact, they ran this campaign. They built an amazing legal team, including one of my dear friends, Jennifer Robinson. They not only got it through the UN General Assembly, it went to the ICJ, and they issued a ruling that was bolder than anyone on the legal team aspired for. And that, to me, tells you that some of the biggest and boldest ideas for this time are going to come from places that might be small, might be quiet, might be as invisible as a classroom. But that is the capacity that we have when we set the arrow to a true north that's really worth fighting for. I agree. That's inspiring, and believe me, I mean, I think about my wonderful I love Chicago, but I also am in love with New Orleans, and I know that they're talking about yes. we could talk about that a little bit if you want to when we come back. We're talking. Yeah. We're gonna take a break here. She's agreed to do two segments, and I appreciate that. We're talking to visionary climate leader Dr. Katharine Wilkinson, who offers a compassionate, empowering guide to navigating from ache to action, doubt to possibility when it comes to climate, our climate changing world. Let's take a break here and continue our conversation on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal, KKNW 1150 and KTNF AM 950. Hi to everyone watching and listening on Facebook and YouTube. More after this.
Is credit card or other debt making it difficult to pay your rent or mortgage? Home insecurity is often the unintended consequence of an inability to pay mounting credit card debt, student loans, or medical debt. But by working with a nonprofit credit counselor, you can avoid or reduce the risk of eviction or foreclosure while tackling debt for good. For more information about how nonprofit credit counseling can help, visit nfcc.org. Made possible in part by the nonprofit Wells Fargo Foundation.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
From city streets to political beats, you're driving it home with Patti Vasquez, where progressive talk fuels the ride.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue our drive home and our conversation with Dr. Katharine Wilkinson, who co-founded the All We Can Save Project and is the author of the New York Times bestseller Drawdown and the national bestseller All We Can Save. Her brand new book is Climate Wayfinding: Healing Ourselves and the Planet We Call Home. And of course, Doc, we've got to talk about AI centers, which have been being moved into rural communities, often with clearly people who in power who have been persuaded in whatever way that might have taken place. For people in the Midwest, Iowa, Illinois, Wisconsin, what does the climate crisis look like on the ground where they live? Because this is consuming enormous amounts of water and electricity.
Yeah, these data centers are moving so fast. And to me, it's a real reminder that so many of the decisions we're making about the future that we share are happening at the local level, right? In this moment, there's a lot to wring our hands about what's happening at the federal level. But there's a lot of power still locally. It means zoning boards are important. It means city councils are important. It means that your public utility commissions at the state level really, really matter. And these are places where we can get engaged politically. And I think we have the capacity to really move the needle. You may be able to count on one hand the number of people that serve on a utility commission, for example, or a zoning board. And I'm hopeful in some way, as horrifying as these data centers are, that this is going to kind of wake people up to the energy challenges, the water challenges. We even know now that data centers make the spaces around them up to pretty far away distances measurably hotter at a time where summer is already too darn hot. And these are, these may be kind of on-ramps for people who have been sitting there thinking, yeah, I'm worried. Yeah, I'm scared for my kids or my grandkids, but there's probably really nothing I can do. And, I guess I'll just sort of hope for the best, right? This is a calling in, I think, these data centers.
Are there, this kind of goes back to my question earlier about, are there places in the world that are doing it right or at least better? Because, there are a lot of conversations around how the alternative sort of supply of whether it's water and electricity. Are other places that are managing this in a more eco-friendly way?
Well, I think one of the things that's really smart are the places that are putting up a moratorium for the time being. It's like, hey, we've got to figure a few more things out right now, and we're not going to have our state or our county just kind of taken over by these computer warehouses. But one of the things that is really important where they are happening is kind of it's a BYO party model that if you're going to be setting up a new data center, you need to bring your own clean electricity to power it. That means you've got to be putting in enough wind turbines or enough solar panels or enough geothermal energy that you can actually power the needs of your data center. And I think that is a really, really smart piece of policy.
Yeah. Are there legislatures that are doing this? I mean, that seems like a state legislature solution, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think we are in like real time with the experimentation and the passing of these things. So, I'm hopeful we're going to see a lot more of that going forward.
Well, I know that our listeners are engaged and writing their legislators, showing up at their offices, showing up in our capitals. That's one of the reasons why we're Heartland Signal. And you've built the group infrastructure around this with the reading groups. Tell us about that when you talk about how this is where it needs to start in community.
Well, I first just have to say I love this language of heartland. I mean, I know we sort of throw that out casually, but this idea of like the heart and the land coming together, I think is so powerful, actually, and so needed in this time. I've been thinking about it in the aftermath of Ted Turner's passing and the Captain Planet cartoon. Did you ever watch that, Patty?
I did not, but it sounds familiar.
Well, yes. So there were these 5 planeteers: Earth, Fire, Wind, Water, and Heart. And when they put their powers together, they could call forth this environmentalist superhero called Captain Planet. But I love that Heart was one of those because I think that it's intangible, but it's so important, actually, particularly when the scale of the challenges is so big. But just like with a personal problem, with a planetary problem, we don't want to go it alone. And that's really where these reading groups come in. This grew out of the program Climate Wayfinding that we've been running for the last 4 years. It lives now on more than 50 college and university campuses. But young people aren't the only ones grappling with their climate journeys. And so the reading groups are built right into the book, and they let people take this exploration of looking inward with care, looking outward with curiosity, and looking forward with courage, and to do it together and work their way through the ache and towards a sense of possibility and action. So we've got already over 200 of them. The book's only been out less than a week, but there are already 200 some odd reading groups in motion. It's making its way already onto syllabi for the classroom. It's really, really exciting to think about, people linking arms and building community as part of the solution that we need.
And how do folks find out about joining these reading groups?
So there's more info about those and a whole bunch of other things at climatewayfinding.earth, which is our website.
Oh, fantastic. I think the people want to, I think we should start our own reading group here I keep saying that we want to do a book club. And now I think this is the kick in the butt to get it done, Well,
this is easy because all the planning's done for you. You just got to rally up some people.
Yeah. Hey, listeners, who's joining me? Text 773-763-9278. Who is in on the reading group again, this is the book is Climate Wayfinding, Healing Ourselves and the Planet We Call Home by Dr. Katharine Wilkinson. And you mentioned earlier some of the leaders that you work with. I know that you've worked with Christina. Is it Christiana? Figueres? How do you say her name? That's beautiful. Yeah. And Mary Robinson, you work with everyday people in community circles. What do those two worlds have to learn from each other? Because I think, people, as you mentioned, often feel small. And then people who maybe don't have the day-to-day experiences that people in our communities have. Tell us a little about that sort of exchange.
Well, Patti, you mentioned earlier New Orleans, which is also a city I really love. And I imagine it is a city that is grieving about some new research that's come out that basically, because of sea level rise, the city needs to start to plan to not be there, which is just really wrenching. And one of the leaders in the book, in the first chapter called Embarking, is Colette Pichon-Battle. She's from Bayou Liberty, Louisiana. Family's been there for generations, and that is among the land that's absolutely going to go. And yet Colette is this ferocious organizer for climate justice and working with frontline communities in the Gulf South and Appalachia. And I had a conversation with her a couple weeks ago, and she's so convicted that this is not just an issue of science. This is not just an issue of policy. This is not just an issue of technology. This is an issue of being human. This is an issue that just because you are a person on this planet, you have lived experience and lived expertise that, puts you right in the heart of this. So I think when we think about, climate's just happening in these UN negotiations and in the halls of government, we need to use those spaces. But all of us belong here, right? We all have a place in this just because we are alive and embodied at this time.
Absolutely. And I don't think I sometimes forget that our listeners aren't privy to the conversations I have in my head or the stories that I've been following, which is that coming back to what the researchers have found about New Orleans, their folks are saying it's not even plan for it. People need to move. And how soon are they saying that New Orleans simply will be not functioning because of the sea levels? Do you remember?
I have to look it up.
It's okay. This is something for a continuing conversation, obviously. Yeah. And in general, what happens in Louisiana, I think, is the policy there, though, because I've lost two friends. They were sisters who lived in Baton Rouge to cancer, which we know is Cancer Alley in that part of Louisiana. So my heart just hurts every time when I think about New Orleans but as you mentioned, it's not just the policy; it's also the human experience that New Orleans has been kicked over and over and over again.
Totally. And I think, it brings up these very big and very intimate questions about home, right? About culture and family and where we can feel safe and where we can feel at ease. And I think we're going to have a big grappling to do, really, as, as a country, as a human species, about how to help people move from places that are not safe today, or are not going to be safe in the near future, to where they can live their lives with some dignity and sense of belonging. And I think it's a tricky conversation to have. By and large, you can see politicians sort of going like, yeah, let's not. That's, speaking of inconvenient truths, that one's like very inconvenient. Let's just sort of avoid it. But we've got a plan, right? Because we've now baked enough change into the system that these are the realities we're going to have to deal with.
So, because, your message is one of hope and not Debbie Downer, I don't want to leave our conversation on the heartbreak of that. I think that what I want people to take away from is the fact that people are doing the work and they are inviting all of us, right? Go ahead and let's leave on a high note that you are bringing for folks.
Absolutely. Well, and even these emotions that we feel, right? The sadness, the fear, maybe the anger, certainly for a lot of young people, a sense of betrayal. That is actually a sign of life fighting for itself, right? That is a sign that we are connected. We are part of this extraordinary web of life on Earth. And those emotions, if we can name them with compassion, they can actually become fuel for the work that's ahead. And I think that's not where any of us want to be, but there's real power in that as well.
Oh, thank you for that. I think our listeners need that. I know I needed it. Again, folks, please check out the work by our incredible guest who I don't want to be greedy, but I would love to have Dr. Katharine Wilkinson back. Again,
let's do it.
The book. Yeah, please. Let's check in because you are really, it's a remarkable conversation and the work that you do is so incredibly important. Again, Climate Wayfinding, Healing Ourselves and the Planet We Call Home, which is already sold out at bookshop.org. So put your name on the list because I know bookshop.org is an incredible site to support authors and small bookshop owners. And we really appreciate everything that you do. Is there another website you'd like folks to visit? Any other social media platform handles that you want to share?
Sure. Well, climatewayfinding.earth. And then you can find me at Dr. K. Wilkinson on Instagram and Substack. And you can find the All We Can Save project at All We Can Save.
I'm going to follow you right now on Instagram. Thank you, my friend.
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Patty.
And thank you so much, Lady B. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Amazon Business. With smart business buying, innovative AI tools optimize your purchasing experience. Paired with delivery options